I gotta keep it real with y'all, man. Big U is in great position as far as this trial goes in the way things are falling for him with these motion filings. He was granted a continuance. His case has been continued to February of 2027, which is about 10 months from now. That may seem like a long time to people, especially when you're incarcerated and you fighting for your freedom and you're trying to get home. But when you looking at the type of time that he's looking at, doing 10 more months to make sure everything is done right is worth it, And today we're going to be addressing a couple of things. One of those things is how getting the continuance is a huge victory. Now, a couple of days ago, and pretty much over the last couple of weeks, we've been covering how Big U has been attacking the government in their strategy. The government has been basically saying that Big U cannot bring up unresolved or alleged violation facts, saying it's inadmissible because it hasn't been resolved. And so Big U is pointing out that, hey, these violations happened years ago, and these cases were caught years ago, and y'all keep continuing it and continuing the sentencing until after my trial. Big U is saying that they doing this because they don't want the jury to hear about the fact that these guys received leniency for testifying against him, even though they got some really crazy charges. And also, he's saying that the government is doing this to ensure that these guys, come testify the way that they want them to. So these guys told y'all something and we're trying to get a good deal, but y'all now thinking that they may back out. So y'all don't want to really put the deal into effect until after they've already testified and y'all have secured a conviction, which is understandable from the perspective of the government. But, when you think about dealing with snitches, what do you expect? These dudes are slime balls. These dudes got charges for exploitation of minors. Both of these witnesses got charges for exploitation of minors. And if they sentence these guys, and let's say these guys get 3 years in exchange for their cooperation, then the jury will get to hear about the details of the crimes that they did and the fact that they were only given 3 years in exchange for cooperation against Big U. And that makes the government look a certain type of way. Somebody said it in the comments, and I totally agree. They'll let a murderer go, if you snitching on the right person. So Big U has been granted a continuance, which now goes past the date of this sentencing. If you look at these documents, I think Big U said that the sentencing for these guys was pushed back to June of this year. So I'm interested to see if the government is going to go through with the sentencing this time. June is not too far away. That's about 2 months. And it's kind of like it's a chess match. If the government doesn't sentence them right in this moment, let's say they don't sentence them in June, but they push the sentencing back to like March or April of next year, then it's going to be obvious that they are holding the sentencing off, for the purpose of trying to preserve these guys, I want to say credibility. They not credible. So if saying preserve their credibility is crazy, but they want to do that in the eyes of the jury. They want to make these guys look and sound credible in front of the jury. And when somebody gets up here and expose the kind of cases they got, they won't be. And then when they expose the government for giving these guys deals, and that's another big thing that Big U was pointing out, is that like in the Molly Mall situation, some of this stuff is not his case. He was charged in 2015. Some of these alleged acts against him are probation and bond violations and stuff like that from 2019, 2020, leading up to the actual date of his alleged sentencing. He was supposed to be turning himself in to get sentenced, but that was like 3 or 4 years ago. And I think the reason why it was held off, because I think he was originally supposed to get like 36 months or 33 months or something, but it was held off, because he was getting into more trouble. And it's the same with the other witness. He was actually working as an informant and still catching cases as an informant. So if this were to go to the jury, it would not only be that these guys caught cases and were trying to tell in exchange for leniency, but it would also be that they caught more of the same type of charges after they started cooperating. And not only did the government still offer them leniency, but the government is still allowing them to move around on bond. So it's going to be hard to argue that somebody else is violating the law when you showing a reckless disregard for the law just to pursue charges against this person. It looked like a persecution. Spider Loke asked me, what was my motivation? You know what I mean? Where did I get the wherewithal? If you follow me, you know that I've been through some legal issues myself, and that's what inspired me to start, teaching myself about the law and reading up on the law and educating myself in that area. But part of the reason why I do what I do with this Big U situation is because from a legal standpoint, I can see what's going on. Like before we made this blog and I put this information out to y'all, I could already see that they were intentionally continuing these dates back just so that they would not have to bring this information in front of the jury. And it was another motion that they filed a couple of weeks back where they were saying that they didn't want Big U bringing in any information about any of the witnesses, basically trying to say, I feel that they was targeting the recordings with Wack and Big Dale. But part of the reason that this continuance was granted is because Big U and these other attorneys are arguing that, there's so much stuff going on in this case. We need to do more research. We need more time to investigate. And the government keeps adding stuff, so we need more time to investigate. And I believe that this next round of investigation is going to turn up a whole lot of stuff. A whole lot of stuff. It's funny because the government is trying to argue that like no jumper interviews, stuff like that would be considered hearsay, but they bringing it in against Big U as well. So I'm sure they're going to find the loophole for that. If I was them, I would definitely object to that being considered hearsay, and I would bring in a few pointers, such as the fact that the government is the one who introduced the no jumper interviews, which is why I believe Big U invoked the rule of completion in the first place. So they don't just play clips. You got to play everything. And then we know Wack lies every time he opens his mouth. So I'm pretty sure they're going to catch him in 30 to 40 lies over the course of that couple of hours interview. With that said, though, I'm going to wrap this one up, man. I just wanted to bring y'all this update, let y'all know that Big U did get a continuance. The trial has been continued to February of 2027. But like I said, the sentencing on the witnesses had already been pushed back to June, which would have been after the trial. So now we get a chance to see, like I said, y'all see in June, if Big Dale and Molly Mall don't get sentenced and they get pushed back again, then we know that the government is trying to prevent the jury from hearing this stuff. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all of that YouTube stuff. It's your boy Byron Blake. I'm out.